Welcome in. Episode 91, What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast and YouTube show. This is our, is it week 9? My God. Week 9 NFL gambling show. As we are rolling, and listen, we were in a rut. I was despondent. I was depressed. I was questioning what I had, known about the process, not because we were getting crushed, but because we were 2-3 every week. It was just like clockwork, 2-3 every week. Last week, we were not 2-3. We honestly should have been 4-1. At the last second, we took one pick out, a winning pick. We'll show you our record last week. We took out Minnesota minus 3.5 last week and replaced it with our worst bet of the week, Cincinnati minus 3.5. Here's why I feel so good about last week. Not because we were dead on any of these games, but because our luck turned. So let me explain for a moment, all right? Throughout this year, what has happened is we have gotten 2 games exactly right, covered by 10-plus points most weeks.
Right.
1 game wrong, and then 2 50-50 games or even 70-30 games in our favor have gone the other way.
Right.
And that's how we've gone to 2-3. This past week, let's look at it. We had the Raiders laying 1.5. They got shut out.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That's a loss. We had Washington getting 2.5 points at Indy. They were down by 6 in the waning moments of that game.
Yeah.
Came back and won. That's a stolen victory. San Francisco minus 0.5 over the Rams was an easy one. Cincinnati, the one we replaced with that we shouldn't have. That one, Cleveland kicked their ass. And Green Bay covering that 11.5
down to the wire
was an absurdity. They were down 17 with the Bills having the ball inside the 5, and Josh Allen threw a pick. Green Bay ends up covering. So I feel like the gambling gods rewarded us by staying true to the method. We are now 18-22 on the season,
Right.
which again is not great, but we're hovering around 500. We're like I hate to use this analogy, the 2020? Yeah, the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were 7-5 and mediocre and got their teeth kicked in by the Chiefs right before their bye. And then they got red hot, went 8-0 the rest of the season. From the end of the regular season through the playoffs, red hot en route to a Super Bowl. That's what we're going to do. Last year, on the TV show, where we give 3 picks a week, we were right around 500 until week 12. And then from week 12 through the end of the playoffs, we got 70% against the spread. We are digesting the season. We're letting the season wash over us. And now this week, odd week, 6 teams on a bye, so only 13 games to choose from. For our purposes, I've also made an adjustment. Only 8 games to choose, or 12 games to choose from, because I'm no longer going to do anything with the Thursday night game, because this show comes out on Fridays. And it's weird when I'm like, I think this is going to happen, but the game's already been played.
Right.
For whatever it's worth, I'll tell you, it's Philly laying 13.5 in Houston. I would be picking Houston in that game, just because that is way too many points to be laying,
Right.
especially for a Philly team that the Steelers game notwithstanding, that game, they have not been a great second half team. They have been crushing teams in the first half and then kind of going in a stall in the second half.
Right.
So I would be on Houston, but that's not going to be a part of our picks. Here are the 5 games that we are picking this weekend. We will get to those, and then we will get to the other 8 games or 7 games, what categories they fall into. Perfectly priced, stay away, and be careful. Our first game of the weekend, Indy, catching 5.5 at New England. We like Indianapolis. The analysis of this game is very, very simple. By the way, there are 8. This isn't one of them. There are 8 home dogs this weekend. Of the 13 games, 8 home teams are underdogs. So why do I like Indy catching 5.5 win? And I've got the injury report right in front of me. The Jonathan Taylor, after being one of the least injured players in all of college football and then in professional football, never missed a practice, Jonathan Taylor is dealing with real injury stuff, didn't practice on Wednesday, which is the last practice report we have. So why do I like the Colts? There's two reasons. One reason is the Patriots are going to try to convince Mac Jones to stop throwing interceptions. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to, but I think Mac understands that they're going into a bye. This past week against the Jets, he threw a pick that was terrible. The duck that floated in the air, and then threw a pick six before the half that would have lost him the game. But it got waved off due to a roughing the passer penalty. So I think the Patriots are going to be coaching all week, and Mac, because he doesn't want to get replaced by Zappe at the bye, will internalize all week. Just don't turn the ball over. Just don't throw it to the other team.
Right.
So I think it's going to be low scoring in that regard. Indy, on the other hand, I think with Ehlinger, the second piece of this, while I don't think Ehlinger's a second-year quarterback, might as well be a rookie quarterback who was a mid-round pick. What he does have the ability on, and this is something Ben Solak, credit to him from the Ringer, has been big on this year, is the quarterbacks that can scramble this season have neutralized some of the deficiencies that they have otherwise in their game, more so than any year that we can remember. The scrambling quarterback has been something of an equalizer when the quarterback battle is skewed. By the way, I don't think this quarterback battle is skewed between Mac Jones and Sam Ehlinger that much anyway, because I think Mac Jones stinks.
Ehlinger's going up against Bill Belichick, though.
Yes, and Belichick against rookie quarterbacks, unbelievable. Ehlinger's not a rookie quarterback, but he's kind of a rookie quarterback. So 5.5 points just too much. I do not think Mac Jones should be favored by more than 4 against anybody but the Texans. I think the Colts they still believe maybe they can sneak into the playoffs. I was wrong about the Colts, if you guys remember. I thought that Matt Ryan would be good. They'd go 12-5 against a soft schedule. With that said, this to me feels like a 17-13, 17-14, 16-13 type of game. Maybe I lose it because it's 20-14, but I don't think so. It's too many points. Indy should not be underdogs of 5.5 at New England with Mac Jones playing quarterback in what will be a very fast, run-centric game. We like the Colts. Next game. This is a stupid line.
Crazy one.
Atlanta catching 3 at home against the Chargers. So again, Mike Williams is out for this game, and he's out for a while with an injured ankle. Keenan Allen still is not practicing, okay? So you're going to have Mike. I don't know if Mike Williams has been ruled out, but he's out. Mike Williams isn't going to play. Keenan Allen, I'm not sure if he's going to play. The Chargers kicker, if I read it correctly, is even dinged up. The Chargers are so incredibly injured. Atlanta, on the other hand, while they didn't deserve to win that game against Carolina because it was happening as the DJ Moore penalty and then another missed kick, it did take a Hail Mary for Carolina to even be in that position.
Yeah.
They're at home. The Chargers have given us no evidence this year that on the field, they're the team we thought they were going to be on paper. For them to be a 3-point favorite when they have to go all the way from Southern California to Atlanta for a 1 p.m. kickoff is just stupid. It makes no sense. So it's just, this game should be a pick'em. Instead, I'm getting a full field goal. I don't understand the line at all. It is showing I don't even think it's showing a disrespect for the Falcons. To me, it is showing a level of respect for the Chargers that their play this year has not warranted. You look at the Chargers thus far this season. I'm going to pull up their schedule right now, what they've done and where we've seen them. Now, let me concede one point here. They are coming off a bye. I understand that part of it. However, they didn't get discernibly more healthy during the bye. And what the Chargers have done this year, week 1 score game against the Raiders, Derek Carr turns the ball over 4 times, the Raiders still have the ball at the end, down 5 with a chance to win. They lose to Kansas City. That's their best game of the year because they were up 10 in that game.
Right.
They get annihilated by Jacksonville. That loss looks worse and worse by the week.
Yeah.
And we'll talk Jacksonville later because you guys saved me again.
Yeah.
Even though, well, we'll talk Jacksonville because you didn't really save me. You saved me on the picks, but I couldn't help myself. They beat Houston in a game that, for whatever it's worth, they beat Houston in a game that was a 3-point game into the fourth quarter. They beat Cleveland by 2. They escaped versus Denver by 3. And then they lost to Seattle, and now they have a bye. They should not be road field goal favorites against a decent team in Atlanta. It makes no sense. Do you disagree with me on this one?
Sort of, but I mean, you listed all the injuries. That's the only thing that's got me thinking away, but I don't think the Falcons are a great team.
I don't think the Falcons
obviously they're not a great team.
No. I don't think they're a great team either, but I think the Chargers are still being given more respect than they deserve, given how banged up they are.
Yeah.
And this is, Damonza, by the way, you know what? Let's pause this for a moment. We should have said this from the beginning. Damonza hit a 5-teamer this weekend. Now, it turned into a 4-teamer because one of them was Miami.
Dolphins covered by exactly 4, so
the spread, so it rolled down to a 4-teamer. But this wasn't a teaser. It was a 5, and it wasn't a money line parlay. It was a 5-team point spread parlay. Damonza went 4-0-1. So Damonza is learning as the year goes on. Very proud of him.
Thanks, Padre.
No problem. The next level to this is checking 2 things that I'm certain you never think about: the weather and the injury report.
Yep.
Now, for this show, it's not really that helpful because we record this show on Thursday before the Thursday injury reports are out.
Right.
But you get an injury report Friday afternoon. So checking that injury report, let me just tell everybody, if a guy has not practiced, so there is full participant in practice, limited participant in practice, and did not participate in practice. Anybody that is a DNP at practice on a Friday is very unlikely to play. If they can't even practice in a limited capacity by Friday,
Right.
then they won't be ruled out yet, but or sometimes they'll be ruled out, but they're likely going to be out. The other thing is the weather, obviously. Now, with Atlanta, that doesn't matter because it's in a dome.
Right.
But those are the things to look at. But we like Atlanta for the game. There's another thing. At the top of the B block, I'm going to tell you guys a dream I had related to Damonza and gambling. That was one of those dreams that you forgot you had until I walked in the studio today and saw Damonza on his sports betting app, and it made the dream come back. All right, next bet. This is one Victor, who we mocked for going 0-5, but all of a sudden is a little hot.
Yeah.
Victor and I independently agree on Seattle getting 2 at Arizona.
I third that. That's insane.
Arizona getting a lot of respect.
Vegas not been watching the games?
So, well, I think that, so keep in mind, so here's the thing. What Vegas wants, and we always got to remind you of this, what Vegas wants is even action on both sides. What they want is to set a line where half of the public will take Arizona, half will take Seattle, and they'll make the juice on the losses, right? The public still has a respect for the Cardinals that I do not think they have earned, and they have a disrespect for Seattle based on what they were before the season. But Arizona so far this year has 3 victories, okay? Carolina, was Baker Mayfield still starting then? He was. The Raiders, who have just been, by the way, on the Raiders, sidebar real quick, Josh McDaniels, the new head coach for the Raiders, has gotten no scrutiny at all this year. He was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, went to the Broncos, was terrible there, went back to the Patriots, it worked there. He's been with the Raiders. They've been awful. And I read, God, I wish I could give credit. I read a really smart column that was talking about how what Brian Daboll has done, who went from the Bills to the Giants,
Right.
was instead of trying to force his offensive system upon his players, would before this season evolve his system to fit the strengths of his players.
Right.
Like, hey, this is the roster I currently have. How can we best utilize what is a limited quarterback, a superstar running back, no-name receivers? What instead of saying this is the system I run,
right?
How can I
what do I have?
How can I fit around my players?
Right.
McDaniel's done the exact opposite. He's tried to get Derek Carr to run with Devontae Adams and Darren Waller coming back to run the Tom Brady system instead of taking advantage of what they do best. That's how you get shut out by the Saints. But I was talking about Arizona. So Arizona beat the Raiders, they beat Carolina with Baker, and they beat New Orleans in a game where that was the game, if you remember.
The 2-point conversion.
No. That was the back-to-back pick sixes by Dalton right before the half. That game was the Saints were fine. They were up 14-6. And then right before the half, Andy Dalton threw back-to-back pick sixes, and the game was lost.
Right.
Their losses are to Minnesota. They already lost to Seattle by 10 in Seattle, to Philly, to the Rams, and obviously to the Chiefs. Now, those are good teams they've lost to. I'll give them that. But the first time they played Seattle, hold on. Is this right? Yeah. The first time they played Seattle, they scored one touchdown, and it was a special teams touchdown. They scored 3 offensive points.
But doesn't this one seem a little bit too easy? This might seem like the
be
type of game to go in a be careful category.
So here's why I didn't put it there. Because I think the public still likes Arizona. Usually be careful is when Vegas is giving you a team the public likes favored by less than you think it should be. You follow me? So, to use Arizona as an example, I thought the Chiefs -5 against Arizona in week 1 was a be careful because the public loves the Chiefs.
Right.
And I thought, no, I was wrong. Chiefs blew them out. But this week, not to give it away, Miami is playing Chicago, laying less than a touchdown. That to me is a be careful because everyone's going to be on Miami. You know what I mean? So this is
got them on the money line.
Yeah, you're on the money line. I like it.
Yeah,
on the money line, I like it. But the 5 points feels funny. All right, so we like Seattle. All right, next one. And I'm leaning towards this being our right move, our lock of the week. Tampa laying less than a field goal at home against the Rams. So here, Tampa -2.5. So here is what we know about the Rams. They cannot block for Stafford. They can't. Here's what we know about Tampa. Despite all their injuries, they still have a very good defensive front. Here's the other thing we know about the Rams. They got Cooper Kupp hurt at the very end of their blowout loss to the Niners. They threw him the ball with a minute left, down 3 scores. He turned his ankle. Wednesday, he didn't practice. Now, if he doesn't play, this will move to 3.5. He is the rare wide receiver that is worth for that team a full point.
Right.
Tampa, let me say this other thing about Tampa. I'm really interested in seeing Brady. First of all, he's on a long week. They played on Thursday. Remember, they played when we were at the Luka game.
Yep.
Seeing Brady not only on a long week in a desperate must-win situation, but also now that the divorce stuff is behind him. Now that it has been finalized, publicly announced, turn the page. Now, I'm sure he's going to be dealing with that and grieving that and all of that for a long time. But this was a major chapter for him to finally have it done. He released a statement. I think the Rams are a bad team. The Rams, on a per-play basis, have the worst offense in the NFL. Worse than the Texans, worse than the Bears. Per play, the worst offense in the NFL. I'm laying less than a field goal. You don't like this one.
Rams got to be really bad. They got you betting on Tampa.
I think Tampa's
shown.
They've shown nothing.
Nothing.
And they're trending in the wrong direction.
Right.
I think they beat the Rams. And the fact that I would strongly consider this at 3.5. At 2.5, I love it. And then lastly, Baltimore -2.5 at New Orleans. So Baltimore's been a hot and cold team this year. Not surprisingly, a lot of that is gone as Lamar is gone. When he's played great, they've been great. When he has struggled, they've struggled. I think that, so Baltimore made a big trade at the deadline for Roquan Smith. I don't think he has an instant impact in this game. But I think it's always good when you say to your locker room, we're trying to win right now. So San Francisco traded for McCaffrey. They weren't able to beat the Chiefs, but then they kicked the crap out of the Rams.
Right.
We saw the Dolphins this week trade for Bradley Chubb. Baltimore trades for Roquan Smith. Baltimore also, by the way, is on the same long week Tampa's on, the mini bye, because they played Tampa on Thursday.
Right.
Baltimore, if you look at what if we give Baltimore credit, they have 3 losses this year. Miami, up 21, blew it. The Bills, up 17, blew it, and still had the ball at the goal line, didn't get the touchdown. The Bills drive the field. And the Giants game, where they're up, 10 points?
Yeah.
And blew it. So they have blown leads, but it also means they have been up in every game they've played, most of them by double digits. Their 3 losses have come to Buffalo, the team most people believe is the best team in football, certainly one of the best. Miami with Tua, undefeated is Miami with Tua. And the Giants, who are not a bad team. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to call them a very good team, but they're not a bad team. So they have no bad losses. I think New Orleans stinks. I think New Orleans is slightly overvalued right now because of their dominating win over the Raiders. I'm laying less than a field goal. I like Baltimore.
Baltimore hasn't been the best to you in the past, though. Are you sure?
I know. I've lost a lot of Baltimore bets. I understand it, and it's a road favorite, but it's a road favorite of less than a field goal, so I don't mind it so much. So there's our 5 picks this week. Indy +5.5, Atlanta +3, Seattle +2, Tampa -2.5, and Baltimore -2.5. We have 7 other games to break down in the stayaways, be carefuls, and perfectly priced categories. And I have a story to tell, but a dream I had about Damonza. That's next. What's right? All right, welcome back in episode 91. What's right with Nick Wright? Gambling show. Subscribe, rate, review on YouTube. We had a good YouTube week subscriber-wise. Hope to continue that. We had a good YouTube. What'd you say? Subscriber-wise. What'd you say? Continue that. No, I think we're right just short of 83,000. You can check, but I think we're just short of 83,000. Right, just short of 83. But maybe by the time people see this, we'll be up at 83. Quest to get 100,000 subscribers before New Year's, so Damonza can get a bonus and a cool plaque to put on his Tinder profile. I don't know if he has an active Tinder profile or not. No? Okay, sorry. I'm not trying to blow up your spot. I don't know if it ever were to be reactivated, who knows? Things happen. All right. But we put the rest of the games in 3 categories. Stay away, be careful, and perfectly priced. We'll break those down in a moment. But first, the dream I had. So, I hope this doesn't embarrass you. When Damonza was in high school, as I think a lot of people do, they set their kid up with a checking account, meaning a debit card account, and it's linked to their personal bank account. We've never unlinked it. So while I don't get in when I log into my online banking, it shows my account balance, my savings, my credit card, and then beneath it shows yours and now your sister's. And so I don't go into it and see, but it does pop up every time. So I also I know when you've been paid, you know what I mean? Just because whatever. In my dream, I logged in and you had $1,200. In my dream, I logged in and I was like, what the hell? And you had $1,200. And I clicked on it and there were back-to-back 2,500 and there were back-to charges to 2 different sports betting apps. Charges. And I was beside myself. And I came to you and I was like, buddy, what are you doing? And you're like, it's fine. I'm going to get it back this week and leave me alone. And you're like, and I had this, and I was like, I did this to him. Leave me alone. I was like, I did this to him. Like, he's going to have to learn the lesson that I learned, but in such a painful way. And then I just went on to the next dream or woke up, whatever, and I'd forgotten I'd had it. And then I walked in this morning and I saw that you were looking at your parlays that you've placed this weekend, and I remembered the dream, and I was so relieved. Last night I had nothing but bad dreams that I woke up from and felt better. I also dreamt that I got sentenced to 30 years in prison. I woke up from and I was hugging my mom, and then I was like, oh man, I'll never get to hug her again because by the time I get out, she's gonna be gone. Man. And I was super sad. And by the time I get out, I was super sad. And then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, that's great." That's not actually happening. Okay, all right. I was like, "Oh, that's great." That's not actually. All right. Well, let's get to the stayaways. Stayaways: Buffalo at the Jets and Las Vegas at the Jags. We'll discuss them both here quickly. The reason Buffalo at the Jets is a stayaway, the Jets catching 12, is because every single rule of gambling says you must bet the Jets. Every single rule. They are above 500. It is a divisional game. They are at home. They have an excellent defense. They are catching not 7, not 10, but 12 points. The Bills, on the other hand, are coming off an underwhelming performance, I would say, against Green Bay, where the Bills were at home against a team far worse than the Jets right now and won by 10. So every rule says bet on the Jets. I don't have it in me. So to bet on Zach Wilson against that Bills defense, don't have it with Josh Allen probably pissed he threw those picks. So the smart thing is to bet the Jets. So which one? On the smart thing is to bet the Jets. Exactly. That's why it's a stay away. Because smart Nick says you got to bet the Jets. I don't have the stomach. Because a true professional bettor, that's an auto bet on the Jets. I don't have the stomach to do it, so I'm staying away. Now there's Raiders at Jags. Jags getting 1.5 at home against a terrible team. You guys held an intervention with me last week, and it saved me in the picks because I was so mad that I didn't get to bet on the Jags for my picks against Nathaniel Hackett. And then the prince that was promised, Trevor Lawrence, once again, Nathaniel Hackett. Well, he threw a pick at the 1 yard line early in the game. It's the second time he's done that this year. And then he threw a pick on what could have been the game-winning drive. That's the third time he's done that this year. And they didn't cover. So thanks, you guys. But getting points against the Raiders, I almost just included it. But you guys, I promised you guys 1 month of no betting on the Jags. So I will stay away, but I know they're going to win. So I know they're going to turn it around. I know they're going to win. I know they're going to turn it around. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go to be careful. 3 games in this category. Miami at Chicago, Green Bay at Detroit, and Tennessee at Kansas City. So here's why these are in the be careful category. Miami at Chicago feels like that line should be 7. Feels like everyone is going to be on the Dolphins. They're undefeated with Tua, even though Justin Fields has shown some flashes the last few weeks. I mean, they scored. Their offense was good against Dallas. Their defense just couldn't stop them at all. Dallas scored 50. Damonza, while he talks about his parlay, Damonza had under 42 for that game. Dallas by itself scored 49. Under 42. That wasn't great. That was the most dead-on over of the weekend. Scored 49. I think the whole world's going to be on Miami. That's why it's a be careful. I think people feel like Miami should be favored by a touchdown. They're going to hammer Miami. This line's going to move to Miami minus 5.5, maybe Miami minus 6. You're on Miami. Miami minus 5.5, maybe Miami minus 6. You're on Miami. Include Miami on the money line. That I'm okay with. I do think Miami's going to win, but this feels like somehow it's 27-23 or 27-24 with a late Chicago touchdown or 27. All of a sudden, now they're letting Justin Fields run around. They can't. All right, next one, and then be careful. Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit getting 3.5. This is a be careful spot because Green Bay's desperate. They own the Lions historically. The Lions at home have been a good offense, a really good offense at home. I don't think many people are going to be betting the Lions. I think they're daring you to bet the Packers in this game. It feels like, again, maybe a 3-point game. Just be careful there. Go ahead. It feels like, again, maybe a 3-point game. Just be careful there. Go ahead. So that's why I think everyone's going to be on Green Bay. The 3.5 just scares me a bit. To me, be careful. Next one, Tennessee at Kansas City. All right, listen. Kansas City is not great at covering these giant spreads. Kansas City, as a favorite of less than a touchdown, has been outstanding. Kansas City with these giant spreads for a couple of reasons. One is they get down in a lot of these games, and then they have these amazing comebacks, but now you got to win by 2 scores. Here's another reason. Not going to have a lot of possessions in this game. Tennessee is just going to be running Derrick Henry again and again and again the entirety of that game. Ryan Tannehill might be back. I feel like the public is going to be on the Chiefs. Maybe I should have put this in the stay away category, not the be careful category. If you are thinking about betting the Chiefs here, be careful. I think, honestly, the smart money's on the Titans. If I had it in me to ever bet against my team, I'd probably include the Titans in there. I don't have it in me. I'm not including my team. So there it is. The Titans in there. Last one, perfectly priced, 2 games. We'll be very careful. It will be very quickly on those. Minnesota at Washington. Washington getting 3.5. That's exactly right. Minnesota being a field goal-ish favorite on the road against a Washington team that's frisky with Taylor Heineke. And Cincinnati favored by exactly 7 at home against Carolina. Bounce back spot for Cincinnati. But you don't really... Carolina... The question with Carolina is, did that loss, the way they suffered it, just stomach punch them for the whole season? With the kicker suffered it. Having just the Hail Mary stolen from them. Cincinnati, no Jamar Chase, but they have to win this game. To me, this feels like a dead-on 31-24, 28-21 game. I think that's perfectly priced. All right, so there's those categories. We'll take a very quick break, come back, give you the right move. I'll update you on the $500,000 survivor pool I'm in, see if we have any exotics, and Damonza will give you his parlay, and we'll do the offer. We'll do all that next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 91. Is that right? Yeah, that's what I've been calling it all day. Episode 91, our Week 9 gambling show. All right, our 5 picks this week that we are going with are Indy plus 5.5 at New England. Atlanta plus 3 against the Chargers. Seattle plus 2 at Arizona. Tampa minus 2.5 at the Rams. And Baltimore minus 2.5 at New Orleans. Our right move, otherwise known as lock of the week, is Tampa. The Rams with Cooper Kupp either not playing or banged up. The Rams offensive line, Tampa in an absolute gotta-have-it game. The Rams, on the other hand, I think are cooked and done. It was really weird when I saw they offered 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns. The Rams need to come to terms with the fact that they're not very good, and their issue is not their defense. Their issue is their offensive line, and they have the worst offense in football. We love Tampa. You were skeptical of this bet at all because of Tampa's struggles so far. I like Tampa to win by at least a field goal. That's where we're at. All right, we're 2-6 on the right move. We're getting it right this week. Survivor pool. The one that I'm in, where the first place is $500,000, is down to 112 people. 14 of those would be out if Atlanta had lost.
Right.
I was not one of them. That's crushing.
Yeah.
That is crushing that 13% of the pool would have been out.
Right.
If they made the extra point or if they had made the 30-yard field goal, but whatever. Last week was one of the safest weeks for survivors. Went into the week with 118. There's now 112 left.
Right.
Almost nobody
Wait,
lost.
aren't you like no longer giving your survivor pick?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just updating.
Right.
I'm just updating where the pool is at. I apologize to America that I can't give my survivor pick, but I already lost 2 survivor picks on here anyway. So what good am I? Here's the deal on the exotics. I will tweet out if I end up doing a teaser. Most people do teasers where they tease big favorites down. There are no great teaser legs for big favorites this week. You could argue the Chiefs at 12.5, a 10-point teaser to get them to 2.5, fine. But there's no great team to pair them with.
Right.
The teaser legs, though, that are interesting this week are the 2.5-point dogs teased up to 8.5, because you get them through the 3, the 7, and the 8. I haven't inspected those enough, so I don't have a great teaser leg for you. Damonza, on the other hand, did do a parlay. Would you like to give it out? Or wait, is this your parlay, or is this you have 5 picks this week?
This is one of my I don't even know if I have a 5 leg, so this will be. I'll call it my 5 picks.
Your 5 picks. All right, what are they? Let me hear.
So we got Minnesota -3.5 at Washington.
Okay, that we had that in the perfectly priced category, so we don't hate it.
All right, and then we've got Miami -5 at Chicago.
Okay,
we don't love that one.
That was in our be careful. That was we don't love that one. All right, go ahead.
And then we've got Seattle +2 at Arizona.
Okay,
love
we're
that one.
in lockstep.
And then we got the Rams plus.
Oh my goodness!
Wait,
one of your
dude.
picks.
Wait, hold on.
Goes in direct conflict with my lock.
This. Oh, I think there might be a mistake, or this might have been my pick me up parlay that I used to back up one of my other ones.
Oh, okay.
But,
Damonza likes having conflicting parlays. Damonza likes having one parlay he really believes in, and then another parlay is a backup that is in somewhat direct conflict with the other one.
100%.
It's a little odd. And then you have Baltimore, which we're on the same page on.
Yep.
Okay, I don't hate it. All right. The offer. We hit one of these so far this year.
Yeah.
What's the offer this week?
I call this one D-Birds.
Okay.
Ravens -2.5 in New Orleans. Seahawks +2 at Arizona. Falcons +3 versus the Chargers. Damiere Byrd to score a touchdown for the 3rd straight game. Odds are +3,100.
Okay. So the odds on that are outrageous. That should be 50 to 1.
Yeah. No, you're saying it's too low, right?
Too low.
Yeah, way too low.
Because it's just those 3 games, a 3-team spread parlay would be 6 to 1. We're now adding an unlikely touchdown score, even though the touchdown he scored this weekend was pretty
crazy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I do want to investigate
the family tree.
Yeah, I do want to investigate the lineage. You know what? Let me see where he's from, because I don't see a lot of birds.
I don't see a lot of birds either. And it doesn't. It looks like if we were to be related, like it's not that far off. Like I remember him taking his helmet off. He didn't.
So
hold on.
He's from New Jersey.
No way.
Yeah, he's from New Jersey, and you have family there, but that's on your mom's grandfather's side. So we got to investigate this more. And your mom's grandfather, obviously his last name's not Bird.
Right.
So we got to investigate this more. We got to, we're going to have to call. We're going to have to make a call to your mom's dad, which is always fun. We'll give him a call, see if we can get Uncle Sean on the phone and see if there's any relation to Damiere Byrd. But because these are 3 picks I like, plus it'll be a fun thing to root for, even though it should be 50 to 1. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
There it is. I accept the offer. There is the Gambling Show, episode 91 of What's Right with Nick Wright. Listen, rate, subscribe, review, do all those things. iTunes, Spotify, and particularly on YouTube. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. What's right? Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego, and Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that, check it out. Appreciate y'all.